Chieftain Roll Call. I'm Bill Tipple with Don Hensley and Jake Kennedy. Don is host of Chieftain Coaches Corner. He's also a football analyst. Jake is the offensive coordinator, a Bellefontaine alum, former Wittenberg great as well. And we are here to talk football. The second season, Bellefontaine is in Division III, Region 11, a very tough region. There's several teams that I think are good to very good, and Bellefontaine, despite the 8-2 record, is a 10 seed, so the Chiefs get to go on the road this week to Granville Friday night. Our show is presented, by the way, by East and Water Solutions. Thanks to them for their support, and I'll ask most of the questions. Don, I'm sure we'll have some questions for Coach Kennedy. First, guys, we have to go back a week ago. I'll get Don's input first, then Jake's, but the Chiefs lost at London 28-14. It was a 14-14 game at the half. Then the Chiefs really struggled to do much offensively in the second half. Don, your thoughts and what you took away from last week?
I mean, it was a game of two halves. I thought Bellefontaine pretty much dominated the first half. They had 160 yards to 60 for London. We all know that there was a blocked field goal at the end that kind of led to a touchdown. And high school football is a funny game. You know, a momentum swing like that can go a couple of different ways. And as we talked about at the half, you know, I was curious to see how Bellefontaine answered the call in the second half. And they came out, you know, and they had a punt, and then London took it and just never gave it back throughout the whole second half. They had a 13 or 14 play drive to score. And London's one of those teams, once they start getting the momentum, it's hard to fight back against them, because especially a team like Bellefontaine that wants to make big plays and you know, they just want to grind you 3-4 yards at a time, keep the offense off the field, which, you know, let's face it, the one thing London did last week was they gave other teams a recipe for success against the Chiefs, and that is to keep the explosive offense on the sidelines.
Jake, your take on last week's game?
Well, obviously it didn't end up how we wanted it to. You know, like Don said, the block kick was a big momentum swing, and, I mean, there's no other sport that is able to be changed with momentum quite like football. You know, from going up 2 scores to being a tie ball game, we weren't able to get back with it. And like Don said as well, London, they're built to have a close game or have a lead, and once they do, it's tough to get back because they're going to milk the clock and run the ball 3-4 yards at a time, and we just ran out of time. Tale of two halves.
Yeah, they did a great job, London did, possessing the ball after the half. And now that the game is over, we can kind of go back and say what if, and that's kind of what we do. And I think coaches even do that amongst themselves some. If you could go back in time, I got 2 questions about it. Do you or Coach Brown, I guess, kick the ball right there? And did you know at halftime last week when you're amongst the coaches and players that, oh boy, this is really bad news, or were you kind of not sure how the team would respond? So those are my 2 questions. If you go back in time, and what was the mood of the team at halftime after that play that tied the game?
Yeah, so the first question was, do I regret the decision to kick it, basically?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, looking back, yeah, I wish we wouldn't have. And honestly, it's one of those situations where I kind of went against what I believe in, and, you know, I was on the side of trying to take the points and pushing to take those points. I think reason being is it just seemed like the stars aligned. We chunked together some plays and we got down inside the 25, and it's like there's 3 seconds left. I mean, it seemed like we got to where we wanted to be on the field to be able to get 3 points on the board. But, you know, it's like you said, coaches and anyone who watches sports is always going to say, well, we should have done this, we should have done that. So, you know, at the time being, I was 50-50, and, you know, maybe just a 0.5% more leaning on kicking that field goal, and didn't end up working out. But, you know, we're working on fixing some issues on that team, and we're going to be fine.
I mean, I get it. You do want to go up by 2 scores. The only bad part, I guess, is the worst thing that could happen did happen. If you run another offensive play, it's doubtful you score any points. You never know.
Right.
But I doubt if London would have scored any points too if you run another offensive play.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I still feel like Bellefontaine made the right decision if that's how they felt, the coaching staff felt coming into the game. If you feel your kid can make it, you cannot be a winning football team and play what if something bad happens to us.
For sure.
You just can't coach like that, and you can't play like that. If they felt that they could make a 42-yard field goal and they've practiced it and they know that that's something that they have in their repertoire, then that was the right call. I mean, the kid, he blocks the kick. The chances of blocking the kick, picking the kick up, and returning it 75 yards for a touchdown, it's just as crazy as if they pick off a Hail Mary pass and take it the distance. But, so I don't think that, from my vantage point, if you practice that and the kid can make the kick and you have confidence that the kid can make the kick, then that was the right call, because you can't coach and you can't play worried about what happens if something bad happens.
That's true.
Agreed.
And the other thing is, it's just so unusual. We don't see that many high school field goal attempts, but the kicking game's changed a lot the last 10 or 15 years. Schools are much better at it. But in all the years we've been watching Chieftain football, Don, which would be 30 and 30 plus for you, I've never seen a field goal blocked and returned against the Chiefs for a touchdown ever.
Yeah, neither have I. But I also look at it like this. I also think that, right now we know what the outcome was, right? So everybody's like, oh, man. But if he makes it, that might be the nail in London's coffin right there, because London doesn't want to play you 2 scores down. Because they don't have the type of team. We saw the passing game. They don't have the type of team that's going to come back. They don't want to be two scores down. So Bellefontaine makes that kick, and they go in 17-7. I think it's a totally different second half, and it's probably so that kick could have decided the game the other way too.
Well, that's true. Did you feel at half that was going to be fatal, so to speak, or what's it like to be down? Because you're in the mix as a coach. What was it like amongst the players at that point?
Well, honestly, there was no like hanging our heads or anything like that, and I even made it a point to say I like a little bit of chaos anyways. I like it to be a little bit tough. I like getting in the nitty gritty. That's just kind of how I'm wired. And I told the kids, I told the kids the same thing. Like, we don't want this to be easy anyway. So who cares? Obviously it didn't work what I said, but no, there was no hanging our heads. The coaches were still upbeat, game planning, and trying to make adjustments at halftime. So I didn't sense that at all. And I know there's fight in our kids, and we're getting ready to put that on display.
Yeah, and it's also time to turn the page, because now it's win or go home. I mean, it is survive and advance in the postseason, which most of the show will focus on Granville in the postseason. But even with the loss, the Chiefs are CBC co-champs. That's a big deal. Kenton Trail's a tough division, so congrats to you and Coach Brown, the other coaches, and the players. I mean, I don't know if that was talked about after the game, even though players were upset they lost. Maybe it was talked about Saturday, but was there ever any talk about, hey, guys, we won a league title?
Well, not really.
No?
I mean,
Of course, you do that the week prior, I guess.
Right.
Too.
We beat KR, and I think everyone just knew deep down that we had a share of the CBC title, but that wasn't what we were, striving for. Obviously, we wanted to win last Friday. We wanted to win that thing outright. So, we were disappointed on Friday, but we end up with a share, which is really good. I mean, our kids have worked their tails off. So, but yeah, as far as like celebrating a CBC title, I think we got our eyes set on week 11.
It'll be more later because, co-champs or not, you're still going to hang the 2022 on the banner in the gym.
Right.
When they come back, they're still going to, 10 years from now, they're still going to be CBC champs.
Yeah,
Nobody
sure.
talks about the co anymore after the year is out
That's
anyway.
true.
So,
That's true.
For sure.
Now, Jake, you're a young coach, very highly thought of. Don and I talk about that during our football broadcast.
I didn't say I
Well,
was highly
Don
thought of.
does.
I know he didn't say
He
it.
just likes to give you a hard time. You guys go way back to when you were about this big. But it was a tough game in the second half for the offense, and I know that you're a smart guy. You're looking to learn. What did you learn from the game? Because you might use it this next game.
Yeah, that's a good question. The biggest thing I learned was thinking of those bad scenarios, dealing with an injury or, having to have the next kid up, is always having those moves in your head in advance and working towards that craft. I think my biggest mistake this past week was our starters. I honed in on all of that focus that, Fogan went down early in the game. And, you rob Peter to pay Paul. We moved Riley to T, and then we got to move a guy who's not used to playing a position. I didn't do a very good job of making sure we were ready as an offense, not just one position, but as an offense to be ready to do what we have done all year. And I've taken that this week and made sure to start mixing guys in, and that way if one guy's out, the next guy's in, and you won't be able to tell a difference. That's something I got to work on.
5 or 10 years ago, this may have been a great thing that happened to you in some ways. Might not feel that way right now, but yeah.
Well, I've coached Jake and been around Jake forever as an athlete. He won't make the same mistake twice. So I'm confident that the offense will be prepped a little different this week than it was last week.
For sure.
Well, it's time for the second season. What do you think of the Granville draw?
Well, obviously, I didn't expect to go from potentially hosting 2 home games to traveling. That's the first thing, but we've kind of embraced that underdog mentality at times throughout the season where we weren't favored, especially early on, and I kind of like that. I like being a road dog. I like going and traveling, and Coach Reed says it best. He's like, it doesn't feel like the playoffs unless you're going somewhere. And we went on the road as big underdogs last year and scooped up a win against Tri-Valley. So as far as the draw goes, everything happens for a reason, and I'm really excited for the challenge.
I don't know about you, Jake, but I always thought as a player, especially playing football, that when we were on the road and you had to take a long bus trip, I felt like the team, myself, and maybe even the team was a little more mentally focused. You have a long time on the bus.
Yeah.
You're thinking nothing about only about the game. Sometimes when you're at home, there's stuff going on. You're home, then you got the dinner, and then and so it seems like sometimes, especially for a playoff game, going on the road isn't so bad. And I think you see that play out a little bit in the high school playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. And I think another piece of it is, when you go on the road, you're not expected to win. So it's like you can go and just let it all hang out and just play as hard as you can and leave everything out there because, 90% of the people there don't expect you to win. And that's fun to be in that atmosphere, honestly, on the other side of it.
What can you tell us about Granville, especially their defense? That's what you're going to go against.
Yeah, they are solid all the way around. They're disciplined. They rally to the football well. I mean, there's a reason that, they have a home game and we don't. They're talented. They do a good job of keeping things in front of them and make you earn the yards that you're going to get. I think they're just overall a solid team to go against week 1 of the playoffs.
Anybody that remind you of?
That's tough. I would say a little bit JA like as far as a defense goes, but they got their own style. They run a 3-3 stack that we haven't seen all year. They stay in zone coverage a lot. I expect them to maybe mix some man up, but we'll see. But yeah, they're kind of different than anything we've seen. Honestly, they got their own style.
That's interesting. So zone's a little different than what you normally see. I mean, I think there's been you've seen zone obviously this year, but for a player like St. Clair, this is obviously, and you've probably talked to him about this. I mean, a guy that likes to take the home run shots. I mean, zone, you got to be a little more patient than you do in the man.
Right. Yeah, you got to just take what they give you. I mean, this is a defense that there's going to be times where they're dropping 8 guys in coverage. I mean, you truly just have to take what they give you and not, shoot for the home run really until it's time to do that.
Any quarterback run opportunities?
We'll see.
All right. I know that he does some of that. He's got.
It's hard to
he's
scramble.
able to run it.
It's hard to scramble though against a zone. I mean, it's a little easier when everybody's got their backs turned to you.
That's true.
True.
But they're only rushing 3 at times. Is what Jake's saying as well.
Yeah.
So, big team, fast team, skilled team. How would you look at that kind of a perspective?
I'd say more skill built. They got some big kids, but then they got a lot of kids. Like there's a couple linebackers who are more like slim, but they fly to the football. I'd say they're more like fast and play fast rather than like real big and physical. That's more their style, but they're big as well.
A couple teams that are, have been successful the last couple of years. Granville got all the way to the state semis last year, so they won 4 playoff games and lost to Hamilton Baden. The Chiefs won and 1 in the playoffs, but they did, spell success. How does that factor into the game for both teams? Where both teams have already been there. I think last year's playoff deal for the Chiefs was great to help them right now.
I don't look so much into that. I think of it as a clean slate personally. I mean, you can ask that to other coaches and they probably have a different answer, but I don't look so much into that. I think about what we have right now and what they have. And when I'm, looking at the film and seeing the guys that they have this year more than what they did in the past. I mean, obviously they're a really good program and we can't take anything lightly. And we know that, but at the same time, they are who they are. We are what we are. So right now is more what I'm focused on.
I think the one thing that helps though is having so many kids back from last year. To me, there's nothing more important than knowing you can go on the road in the postseason and win a game.
Yeah,
and you've got a lot of guys that were on that team last year playing for you. So this shouldn't be something that they're intimidated by or that they're worried about because they did it last year. And I think that's huge.
Right. I agree.
Okay. And how about the mindset of the team? You know, the team lost week 10. There's other teams in the same boat across Ohio. They lost week 10. They have a very good team. They're in the playoffs. How do you handle that? And it's great to ask you because you're one of the younger coaches. It wasn't too long ago you were under the helmet. So how would you or the players handle that?
Well, I think we've done a great job of just kind of moving on. Obviously, it's a bad taste in our mouth, and I think the kids feel that the only way to get that taste out of your mouth is to move on and give it everything you got for the next week. And now being Wednesday, we've got 3 practices under our belt. I think we've had 3 really good practices so far, and I think our kids are hungry, and I think they know that if we take care of business, we're going to win Friday. So if we keep making steps like that, one more work day tomorrow and stay focused, I think we're going to be just fine.
What does it take to win? From your perspective, I know you're an offensive coach, but a couple, 3 things that if the Bellefontaine does these well, they'll have success. And if they don't do them well, they probably won't win.
Well, the 3 things are offense, defense, and special teams.
Well, I'm talking offense.
And don't turn the ball over.
Yeah, I would say offensively is being tough. And being tough meaning not waiting to take your shots, not waiting to attack their defense, is just starting from the snap. Our biggest and best games have started. You think back to games like Shawnee, Indian Lake. We got right after them from the jump.
Sydney.
Yep, from the jump. So that's going to be key for us, is just kind of having that fire start early on. Take what they give us and just march the football that way. And like Don said, taking care of the football is going to be very important. If we can limit our turnovers, which we've done a really good job on this year,
really have.
keeping the ball with us, and our defense has done a good job of, we end every drive in a kick, whether that be a punt or an extra point or a field goal, things are going to be in our favor if we can just keep the possession with us. And we got a good defense right now too, so they got to earn it.
Sounds like
once they get the ball back.
It sounds like you guys are your defense is a little bit mirror of what you're talking about, how they play defense. You have very athletic linebackers that like to run to the ball. You're athletic in the secondary. You got the 2 young kids playing corner who have played really well. So it sounds like there's a little bit of kind of Bellefontaine's defense is a little bit about what we're going to see out of Granville too.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good comparison as far as just like overall what we look like and what they look like. It's going to be similar.
What are you looking from your quarterback? That's the player you work the closest with, Tavian St. Clair. What are things you'll talk to him about, whether the Thursday practice or even Friday before the game? A couple, 3 things that you think are critical for him to do.
Well, the number one thing, and it covers all those areas, is just being him. Being Tavian St. Clair, not trying to be anybody else, because when he plays how he plays, I know that sounds really simple and basic, he is really good. There's times where he's ran into issues, one, because he's a sophomore. I mean, he's still going to grow. He's still going to get better every year. Is he tries to do too much, or he just, he'll get off his progression early. But there's times when he's focused in and he's just worried about, how he plays and plays to his strengths. There's nobody better than him. So the key is going to be confidence and having Tavian St. Clair be Tavian St. Clair. When he does that, we're really good as an offense.
Do you have a feel if you'll throw it more than you run? Is it balanced? How do you want the game to go? We can't give away the answer here, but just kind of a feel on what you think.
We've been most successful keeping a balance, so that's going to be key. If we got to throw the ball to open up the run or vice versa, I think we're going to be fine. But I'd like to keep a balance as much as possible.
And last week, especially after half the Chiefs had the ball still little, but do you wish maybe there was more running success last week?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, offensively, we didn't do near as well as I wanted to, and the kids would say the same thing. Okay. We had some decent success in the run game. Yeah, I wish it could be better, but we were able to stick with the run the majority of the game. It might not be super pretty, but there was times we're getting 2, 3, 4 yards on first down. I know that doesn't sound great, but going, 2nd and 7, we can do a lot of things with. And I think for the most part, we were able to do that against London. But yeah, I absolutely hope to improve on that this week. Run the ball better.
It's so interesting because, people always talk about the down and distance as it relates to the offense, and getting behind the sticks and things like that. And like those 2 or 3 yard gains do a lot of it. Not only impacts the play calling, but also impacts the defense. I mean, you're also focused on watching, are they trying to walk their guys up? And if they're walking their guys up, then I want to throw the ball. But if they're just sitting back in a shell, because they don't think that they're not honoring the run, that hurts you guys too. So those 2 or 3 yards, even, carries early in the downs, those are impactful as far as future play calls are concerned.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of our goals every week is having 4 yards on first down. If we can, and like I said, even if it's 3 yards, as a play caller, 2nd and 7 is way better than 2nd and 10. I mean, you have your whole playbook that you can call it in 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6 compared to if you get stuff for 2nd and 10.
Penalties seem to really get you guys Friday night too. You were behind the sticks a lot.
Yeah.
That's
been all year.
A lot of holding calls early on.
We can't figure the penalties out, I think. I think that's just almost part of our identity.
I've never seen
now.
a face mask when there's a scrum and they're trying to push each other both ways to call a 15-yard face mask. I've never seen that either.
No. Yeah, that was interesting.
Last thing I have for Jake, we're going to talk about Fountain Cross Country here in a moment on Chieftain roll call. We'll let Don ask any other questions he has. But, here you are, still a young guy, graduated from Bellefontaine High in 2015. Your first regular season's in the book as an offensive coordinator. What do you know now that you didn't know maybe 3 or 4 months ago? What do you take out of your first regular season?
Well, I would say, like you keep saying that I'm young, and this is truly my first real coaching gig as far as being
Freshman basketball though, that's
yeah,
success.
that's true.
That's
true.
Success.
But football wise, my biggest downfall, especially early on, and I'm working on it right now, is I was just so excited early on and tried to do so many different things that's not really the way to go at this level. You want to have those 3 or 4 core things that you're good at, and you want to expand that way. And I think early on, if you look back to Ohio State 7-on-7, I don't know if either of you were there, but it was not pretty. I mean, we were installing 3 different concepts a day. Because I told, Coach Brown, I told the kids we got to have this, and this in before we get out there, and we went 0-5. So the biggest thing is, and that was the biggest lesson I've learned, is it doesn't have to be super complicated. You just got to build on what you're good at. Find that core that you're good at. Find your identity early, and that way you can, put in, tricks and wrinkles off of that. Not try to do so much, early on. Just find what you're good at and build off of that, and good things will happen.
The only thing I really have, Bill, is that we all know what a great quarterback Jake's been. I mean, he's a record setter. His name's on the wall. He played 3 years at Wittenberg, and what most people probably don't know is that I had to beg him to play quarterback when he was 10 years old.
Really? I did not know that.
He did not want to play quarterback. I actually went to his house, sat down with him and his mom, and I actually begged him to play quarterback. So, but
I told the kids that last week. I told them that story.
I'm still surprised at the fact that he hasn't asked me for the red notebook, because when he was playing Blades football, he was the quarterback for 4 years. I would have all the plays, and coaches were allowed to be in the huddle. I'd flip through the plays, show him the play. He hasn't asked me for that notebook yet, and I figured that he'd be one to implement some of those plays into the Bellefontaine offense. So I just want him.
The issue is it's wing T.
I just want him to know that red notebook is still there if he ever needs it.
So that's interesting. I thought all the young guys liked to be quarterback. What position were you wanting to do?
Well, I was horrible. I just wasn't a good football player. So you put a bad football player at quarterback, he's going to be really bad. And I was scared to be really bad.
But the one thing Jake had at a young age was he had confidence. And he might have been scared, but he would never let people know it. And he always had the confidence that he was the best player. Whether or not he was or not, it didn't matter. He had the confidence that he was. And, I could write a book about the stories between Jake and I, but one of my all-time favorite stories, too, is that we're in a game, and he gets in the huddle, and he goes down on one knee like he's going to call the play. And I said, "Who do you think you are, Joe Montana? Stand up." But there was a lot of that. I mean, I coached him in every sport, as a kid, so there was a lot of back and forth between Jake and I. I mean, I've known him since he was 5, 6 years old. So, but one thing that he's always had is he's had confidence. And it's amazing how confidence separates athletes, especially as they continue to grow. There's no way Jake's a 3-year starter at Wittenberg without having the confidence that he has. There's no way he plays professionally without having the confidence. He could have all the skills, but as a quarterback, you gotta, at least in your head, think that you're the best player for the job and that you're the best player on the field and you're going to call the shots. You have to feel that way. And it took a couple weeks, maybe even a month, maybe too quick for my liking, but that confidence came right away. So, and I think that's been the key for his success, is that he's always had the confidence that he could do the job.
Jake, thanks for coming on and good luck this Friday.
Thank you.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Let's get one
Will
Friday.
do. Let's do it.
All right.
Take a break, come back and talk about Fountain Cross Country. It's Chieftain Roll Call presented by Easton Water Solutions.
This is Trey Daring at Eichholz Daring and Sanford Funeral Homes and Cremation Center. We are committed to providing professional, tailored funeral and cremation services at affordable pricing. We are part of a community for caring individuals, friends, and neighbors who consider it a privilege to serve you in your time of need. We are proud to be locally owned and operated. Our family serving your family since 1903.
Go Chiefs!
Foresight Insurance and Financial Services is a locally owned and operated financial services provider for the state of Ohio, focusing our efforts on serving the residents of Logan County and surrounding counties. We are located at 1653 US 68 North Bellefontaine. Foresight can help you with all your retirement needs. We specialize in assisting with pension options. We also offer business planning, charitable gifting strategies, as well as life and health insurance. Call today at 937-595-5002. Foresight Insurance and Financial Services, in the business of planning life.
Hello, this is Luke Varner from Easton Water Solutions. How is your water? Does your water need improved? Put my 23 years of experience to work for you. Give me a call today, Luke Varner, Easton Water Solutions, 592-8379.
Royer Realty, we value our clients and provide quality, professional services to Logan County and surrounding areas. Founded in 1988, our company prides itself on unique experiences that you can only find with us. Our area knowledge and negotiating expertise helps buyers and sellers achieve their goals. When you buy or sell with Royer Realty, you can use our moving truck free. Royer Realty, the realtors you know and trust.
Go Chiefs!
Welcome back to Chieftain Roll Call. Our show is presented by Easton Water Solutions. It's also put together by the Chieftain Backers, which is a new club of Bellefontaine High School. Our show, if you're a first-time watcher, is all about spotlighting student organizations and athletics at Bellefontaine High. And we bring in a guy that I'll call a legend and an icon just because he's done it so long, Ben Davis, who is a retired teacher from Bellefontaine High School, but he continues to bless us with his coaching as the cross-country coach, the boys cross-country coach at Bellefontaine High School. It's your 37th season, Ben. That's amazing, first of all.
Thanks for those kind words, Bill.
Before we talk to the guys, what makes you want to keep doing it? You must.
When you get a group like I had this past season, it makes you want to come back because they were just a very pleasant group of young men this last season. Yep. How my most pleasant.
And the season continues here. We're getting ready for the regionals. How did the Chiefs do in the regular season, including the CBC meet and then the districts last week? So kind of give us a season recap here.
Yeah, we had a solid season. We were county meet champs. We won a couple other invitationals throughout the season. Everything we do is geared toward the postseason, and we weren't able to nab Jonathan Alder, but we were close. And so out of the 12 teams at league, we were second. So they had an outstanding showing. We ran well. We then went to district. There's 28 teams at district, and you have to place top 8 in order to qualify to the regional meet at Troy. And the top 2 teams are deemed as the champions because there's 2 district halves that two districts come together. And our goal was to place 4th and snare that district runner-up trophy, and the boys did exactly that. They ran really well. They had a good race, so we were quite pleased.
I'd say you've had a great year. We're going to talk to the kids in just a moment, Elias Sprago, and also we have Tony Stewart here. Then we'll get a couple other guys on here in a minute on Chieftain Roll Call. But you've had a great season. Did you know, you've done this for so long, did you know back in the summer that you had a really good team?
It all comes down to if these guys are going to train. They're going to put in the sweat equity, as I say. That they got to put the miles in. And we've had, it was a different group, and we added some different personnel. So it just comes down to how they all mesh and encourage each other, and there has to be a couple that act as a catalyst to keep things going. Gavin Yoder's or Gavin Wilson. Gavin Yoder's the principal.
We know.
Gavin Wilson is our senior leader who did a nice job working in the summer. And, you know, you need 5, 6, 7 guys to have a complete team. And we had a lot of participation in the summer. The kids did a great job responding appropriately. Went running distance during the season. Had some little issues with that last year when kids disappeared down the bike path and climb on train cars and different things like that. But we didn't have that issue this year. They were focused. One of the telling signs of this year was I had to have distance runs on Tuesdays because I didn't trust anybody to do their distance on their own, which the best time to do that would be Sunday. And I just went out on a limb. I had to trust them here at the end, you know, district and regional time. And we had full participation on their own, getting their distance in Sunday, the last couple of weeks. So that's we kind of turned a corner then, because some of these guys flat out said, I'm not running on Sunday. But they did, and then that was a beautiful thing. That was a telling sign of what's to come with this group, because we graduate one off the varsity.
Yeah, they want to be great is what it tells me. They're committed. It's
Yeah,
important. It's important to them. No doubt. And for those that maybe don't know, a high school cross-country meet is 5K or 3.1 miles.
Yep.
But how many miles does a cross-country guy like Elias or Tony run during the week?
Yeah, I really emphasize that to them to try to hit at least 35 miles. Because 35 miles, when we do our speed work, which is generally on Mondays, we generally do 8% of the previous week's total mileage. And so if we're going to do 3 1-mile repeats, the kids should have a mileage base that backs up them being able to do 3 1-mile repeats. 8% of 30 is 2.4, so that's not quite enough. So the 35 miles, 30, kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a math teacher in you.
Because we want them to peak at the end of the season. We want them to peak at the right time. So there is a fine science involved with getting them to peak at the appropriate time, getting them to peak at the right time. And without a mileage base, they're going to respond pretty drastically to speed workouts and then tail off. And they generally will tail off about 20, 30 seconds, and so they lose their edge. And once you lose your edge, you can't get it back. It's gone.
Yeah, so you got to get that base. Let's talk to the guys. We'll start with Tony Stewart, who's a junior. Tony, get in there and get close to that microphone. How do you think the season's gone for Bellefontaine boys cross country as a team and for you?
Honestly, I think it's been great. This is definitely my favorite group so far, and I think we've put in a ton of effort. I mean, a ton. Like speed days, we kill it. Every single speed day, and especially like what Coach said, you know, running on Sundays, after running like 7 miles at a meet, 3.1 of those miles being as hard as we can, you know, I think it's been amazing. And honestly, I'm just happy to get 1640s this year. Hopefully, at regionals, you know, I could qualify for state and run 1630s. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. You know, I'm just glad we put in the work and it's paying off.
What grade did you take up cross country?
8th grade.
Okay, I think it's a tough sport. It's hard. It's hard, and I don't call it glamorous. So there's got to be something about it that makes you want to do it. How did you get hooked into this sport?
Mainly because I had a lot of raw talent coming into it, and especially just the energy around like the team, you know, making great memories, running, I don't know, winning, especially winning.
Winning.
And it hurt that he was really good in 8th grade.
Yeah.
That first year.
So right away it clicked for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your PR?
For
High school.
5K? Okay. 1644.
Very good. Any other activities or clubs or sports you do at Bellefontaine High?
Just track. Yeah.
Okay. And what are your track events, by the way?
It really depends. I like the main and the mile and 2 mile, but I am going to have to run the 4x8 this year, which is fine. I'm fine with that. I like the 4x8.
Let's bring in Elias here. He can even use Ben's microphone here.
All right, cool.
And Elias, you came out this year.
I did, yep.
you used to be soccer.
Yeah, I did play soccer last year, and I had a few friends. I had mainly one friend switch me over into cross country, and that motivated me to start pushing myself at practice, and especially being around the guys, I realized that this is a really cool sport and a really good group of people.
Soccer's a lot of running too. It's not exactly the same, but still you have to be pretty good fit shape. How would you say cross country's similar but yet different to soccer?
In similar ways, it's like when we hit speed work days, especially I've noticed this at like on speed work days, it kind of brings me back to soccer, like doing those sprints on the field, just chasing the ball, right, and kind of moving all together. But then in a different sense of way, or in a different kind of way I see it, is when we do distance and stuff like that, it's like we're not sprinting on distance. We're truly not. We're maintaining a strong pace, one that's going to put us in a rough spot where it's hard to breathe and it's hard to kind of keep full sentences saying, right? But we can still talk, we can still move and get long distance out of it. That's what I've kind of noticed, is that it's a different type of workout.
What grade are you right now?
I'm a sophomore.
Okay, and then Tony's a junior. Any other activities or clubs that you do here at the school?
Right now, I am in cross, obviously, and then I have tennis and swim team.
Oh, so you're a three-sport guy.
I am a three-sport guy.
Three-sport guy, okay. Does cross help for swimming? Both kind of tough, physical, endurance kind of sports?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming so. I mean, of course, we haven't
You'll
tried
find out,
So
I
yeah,
guess.
we'll see what happens this season, but I'm assuming so. I mean, obviously, having that crap ton of stamina and pushing my body like that, I think it's going to help a lot in the water. And
What's your PR this year?
my PR this year is an 18, I believe 18.
All right, so you've had a good first year.
I had a great first year.
Did you do any kind of running even before, like, junior high? Did you do any then?
Yeah, I did run in middle school. I ran both years in middle school, but then I stopped, obviously, my freshman year.
Okay.
I picked it back up.
Let's take one final break, come back with a couple more guests on Chieftain Roll Call. It's Bellefontaine Boys Cross Country on tonight's show. More after this.
This is Trey Daring at Eichholz Daring and Sanford Funeral Homes and Cremation Center. We are committed to providing professional, tailored funeral and cremation services at affordable pricing. We are part of a community where caring individuals, friends, and neighbors who consider it a privilege to serve you in your time of need. We are proud to be locally owned and operated. Our family serving your family since 1903.
Go Chiefs!
Foresight Insurance and Financial Services is a locally owned and operated financial services provider for the state of Ohio, focusing our efforts on serving the residents of Logan County and surrounding counties. We are located at 1653 US 68 North Bellefontaine. Foresight can help you with all your retirement needs. We specialize in assisting with pension options. We also offer business planning, charitable gifting strategies, as well as life and health insurance. Call today at 937-595-5002. Foresight Insurance and Financial Services, in the business of planning life.
Hello, this is Luke Varner from Easton Water Solutions. How is your water? Does your water need improved? Put my 23 years of experience to work for you. Give me a call today, Luke Varner, Easton Water Solutions, 592-8379.
Your Realty, we value our clients and provide quality, professional services to Logan County and surrounding areas. Founded in 1988, our company prides itself on unique experiences that you can only find with us. Our area knowledge and negotiating expertise helps buyers and sellers achieve their goals. When you buy or sell with Royer Realty, you can use our moving truck free. Royer Realty, the realtors you know and trust.
Go Chiefs!
Welcome back to our last segment of Chieftain Roll Call, presented by Easton Water Solutions. We're featuring Bellefontaine Boys Cross Country on tonight's show, and this week we are wrapping it up with a couple of young guys. We have Hayden Moss. Hayden, you're a freshman. Seth Taylor. What grade?
Junior.
Junior, okay. Let's talk about the season. We'll start with Hayden. How you think the season has gone? Here you are as a newcomer. What do you think now that you're almost your first high school cross country season is in the books?
It's been great. The guys are awesome. It's a great environment. Everyone works hard. Times have come, places have come, up and downs, but it's ultimately been a great season.
Who's the leader of the team?
Gavin Wilson, he's our number one. He leads us through warm-ups, cool-down, stretches, all that stuff.
Senior.
Yeah.
Now, you've been a runner for a long time. What age were you when you took it up?
I was in 6th grade, so
That's your fourth year then now.
yeah, it's my
Okay.
4th year running. My dad, he's a coach, so he got me started early, and I took it up with the guys in middle school, and I've been sticking with it since.
Okay, very good. What do you like about it?
The environment's nice. The guys, especially, we all have same interests in running. The fit, you get, stronger, you get faster. It's a great thing to, you can definitely feel how well you're doing.
And here in high school, it's 5K. Last year it was 2 miles.
Yeah.
So it's 1.1 miles more.
Mhm.
How's that change it? How's it change how you train? How's it change how you run on meet day?
Mileage has definitely upgraded. I probably went from 12 miles a week to up to 40, maybe sometimes 50. But you can feel difference. Speeds change. You have to adapt to the races differently, and 3 miles is a little more difficult. You really got to train harder. But in the end, you train hard, it comes naturally.
Seth Taylor is here as well. Seth is a junior. Seth, what grade were you in when you took up cross country?
I started in my 7th grade.
Oh, you've done it a long time too then. So for you, it would be your 5th year.
Yes.
How have you grown? How have you become a better runner since junior high?
Well, to start, I don't have a running background. I actually just, the coach, Coach Kessler, JK, he asked me my 7th grade year, and I didn't know what to say. I told him, sure, I'd try it, and I started out with 19 minutes in a 2 mile, and I shortened that down, and you just work with it, and I can safely say I have drastically improved what I used to be as a runner.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's a success story. What's your PR this year?
My PR is 17:57.
Oh, wow. You have really improved. And that 19 he's talking about was 2 miles instead of 3.1. Now, that was a while ago, so you've had some years to grow. What do you like about doing it now that you've done it for a while?
I think what I like about it is it's all about really, you're never really relying on somebody else. In the end, it just comes down to you. It's how you run, how you feel like you're going to do. No one else around you is going to bungle something up or you have to rely on somebody else. In the end, it just comes down to you have to run it. You have to rely on yourself. And I really like that. It allows you to really measure your own personal improvement. And it also, it's a nice safety feeling in the back of your mind that there's no one to blame but yourself when you fail, and there's no one to really give props to but you when you succeed.
Well, that is true. It's a team sport, but certainly an individual sport. Hayden, what's your PR this year?
17:14.
Oh, very good. I think Ben maybe said before the show you're the second fastest freshman in school history.
Yeah.
That's big words. You have any goal in mind, maybe for a time to shoot for before you graduate from high school? Have you thought about that yet?
I'm mostly taking it one season at a time. I usually have high goals, and then I just strive towards them. Not much to say before I graduate, but there's definitely goals for next season. 16s is what I'm shooting for next season.
That's fair.
So.
Well, and have you been to any races this year where guys got in the 15s? Have you ever seen that at any meets?
Pretty sure districts. Districts was a meet that, yeah. Tip, yeah. So there's people around me that can push me, so I just got to get there.
Okay. Well, we're going to have you excuse you guys. Thanks for coming on. We're going to get Coach Davis back in here. Thanks to Seth Taylor and Hayden Moss, a couple of outstanding cross-country guys. Earlier we had Elias Abrego and also Tony Stewart. Coach, just a couple final things. First regionals this Saturday at Troy.
We run at 1 o'clock. They will run I believe the D3 races in the morning, take a lunch break or a break, which is something they start doing because of COVID. And then they'll come back with the D2 races. I believe maybe the boys at 1 and girls at 1:45 perhaps, and then the D1 races will finish out the day. So they'll have 6 races on that floodplain.
Yeah, it can be wet there, no doubt. At Troy, where if you want to go watch, you can see it. Kind of, I guess that's one advantage that people can.
It has a very good spectator course. Yeah. I'll just leave it at that. Spectator course.
Well, you're up higher where you can look down.
But if it rains, at all, it's a mud pit.
Yeah. And we need it to get dry and windy the next couple 3 days. That would be very, very,
we've
very helpful.
had it be a mud pit before.
Any goal this week? Anything you're really looking for the
There's
team?
14 teams that qualified to the D2 regional meet out of basically Dayton, Springfield, Cincinnati, kind of toward Columbus. And we're kind of pegged in there at 7th. And if we could get top 6, I'd be thrilled. Top 6 would be a great spot to be heading into next year when we graduate one kid off the varsity, and we're picking up some really fine runners from middle school.
Yeah.
Jordan Kessler and Stacy Wilson do a fabulous job at the middle school, and we're picking up some heavy hitters that are willing to work, willing to train. And if you got kids that are willing to train, and they end up being like Seth Taylor, who was slower than molasses, and now he's very respectable. Running 17s for 5K, that's outstanding. And so that's the beauty of the sport. Like he said, nothing can hold you back if it's between you and yourself.
Coach, good luck this weekend.
Thank you, Bill. Nice chatting with you again,
Good
just
to
like
see
those old
the
days.
old days, yeah.
Yeah.
And 37 years as the head cross-country coach at Bellefontaine High. What a story that is. I want to thank our guest, Ben Davis, who's the Bellefontaine varsity boys cross-country coach. The team members that were here tonight, we had Tony Stewart, Hayden Moss, Seth Taylor, and Elias Abrego. Earlier in the show, Bellefontaine assistant football coach Jake Kennedy, and the color analyst I get to work with every Friday night, Don Hensley, as well. Good luck to the Bellefontaine football team Friday night at Granville in the postseason, and Ben's cross-country team Saturday afternoon at Troy. So, yeah, go Chiefs. Our show presented by East and Water Solutions. Have a great week.